Hello, this is the second video of the Matlab series that we have been making. The second question that we have been given is to find the row reduce form of the given matrix. The matrix, as you can see over here, is 3 1 2 is a 3 1 2 5 1 2 minus 1 2 4 3 1 7. In the previous video, I've already learned how to make a matrix, and as you have seen, that was the question once. It is open right here. A equal to I've already made the matrix, so I'll just go ahead and save this file, Control S, and then run it. As you can see, the command window shows the matrix is ready for use, and so has the workspace. Recognize that we have created a matrix that is of the size 3 into 4. Now, since a row reduce form is where the first element over here, this 3, this must not be 0, this must be the leading non-zero element. The next non-zero element that is in the next row should be after that, as in this one must be 0, and thus this should be the non-zero element, so on and so forth. So 3, 2 and 1, these must be the this is where the non-zero leading element can start. That means that 1, 4 and 3 must compulsorily be non-zero element, must be 0 elements, sorry. So we are going to do that. For the sake of our convenience, we are going to switch the order of the matrices so that it becomes easier. Since 1 is something that 1 over here in the first row, we do not need to reduce the element in the first row. However, we can subtract the elements from the other row. So 1 in the first row would definitely be a much more advantage than having 3 over there. So first thing we'll do is first we'll switch the rows 1, switch the row 1 and switch the row 2. So we'll do that. So I'm typing over here A, row 1 comma 2 is that's the order that is given. I'm typing it out to make it row 2 comma 1. So I'll just save this file over here, Control S, you can save it, or you can save it with this, that just saves it immediately, and then run the file. As you can see, the rows have been changed. We can do this entire operation in the command window as well directly. However, making an editor file is much simpler, much easier. So we have gotten this now. So this makes it much easier for us to operate with the elements, as now what we will do is we will see the third row that starts with 4, 4, 3, 1, 7. Now it is going to be easier for us to reduce it. If we subtract, first we can do is subtract it by 3, or we could subtract it by 1. Either ways, we can first, since we know is the largest, we can subtract 3 and 1. Both of them, we know this is the first element is 4, which we want to have 0. Now 3 and 1, both of them can add up to subtract this. So we can write this as A 3 comma this equal to so this is what I have written over here. As you can see, I'm subtracting the elements of the first row from the elements of the third row. That is why I have written that the elements of the third row are equal to the elements of the third row minus the elements of the first row. So I'll save this over here and I'll run it. As you can see, 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 minus 2 is 1, 1 minus minus 1 is 2, and 7 minus 2 is 5. So what we have gotten here is that the second row and the third row are identical. So what do we get from that? That these rows we can simply subtract and we'll get a row which is entirely 0, as in all the elements of it will be 0. So we're going to do that. So as we had done the last time, this represents the row that we are changing, this represents the change in the row, this whole statement, and this represents from what we are subtracting, since we're subtracting in this case. So we'll subtract this A3 equal to A3, since we are making the change in the same row only, minus A2. So I'll save this amount of code and I'll just run. Now you can see 3 minus 3, 1 minus 1, 2 minus 2, 5 minus 5, that has gone down to 0. So our first objective is complete, that was to get these two elements as 0. Now what we move on to is reducing this 3 to 0 as well. So if you think of it simple, we have switched out 3 and 1. Now this is what makes it better for switching 3 and 1. Now we can directly multiply the first row by 3 and subtract it from the second row. We do not care about what happens to these elements. We do not have any necessity to keep them in the positive. So them going to the negative is not an issue for us. However, we want this element to be 0. Hence, what we'll do is A 2, since we are making the change in the second row this time, sorry, A minus A 1, since we are subtracting the first row from this. So we'll enter this and we'll say I'll save this file and then I'll run it. As you can see, this makes the difference only once. What we can do, instead of either we can write the same line of code, I can copy and paste it and do it 3 times, or what I could do is, right now I have subtracted it once, but what I can do is copy this, paste. Now 2 times we need to subtract 1, so I'll just do this 2 times, save this file and run. As you can see, we have gotten this element 0. So this is the row reduced form of the matrix. Since the first element of the first row is non-zero, it is a leading non-zero element. The element below that is 0, which is one of the first conditions. The next non-leading element is a step, as in it is next, it belongs in the diagonal. And then with the third row, as we can see, the first and the second elements are 0. Therefore, this is what we call a row reduced matrix, and this is how to do it in Matlab. Thank you.